Have you ever felt like you were hanging by a thread, as if the slightest unexpected event would be enough to break you completely? The truth is, many people seem strong, but take a closer look and you'll see that inside they're silently falling apart. And then comes the thought, I'm not like them, I'm not strong enough. But is that really true? Let me tell you a secret that might completely change how you see your life from today on. The most resilient people you admire weren't born that way. They became that way. And more than that, they practice habits every day that build this strength. Yes, resilience is trainable. It's cultivated. It's built like a muscle. It doesn't matter how fragile you've felt until now. It doesn't matter how many times you've thought about giving up. What matters is what you choose to do from now on. In this video, I'm going to show you directly and practically the 7 daily habits that emotionally strong people quietly cultivate. They're simple, but deeply transformative. And the best part, you can start practicing them right now. So take a deep breath and come with me, because this journey might change the way you live, think, and endure. Oh, and if this topic speaks to something inside of you, go ahead and leave your like and subscribe to the channel so you won't miss the upcoming content. That really helps us spread this message. Now let's dive into the first habit that separates those who collapse from those who rise again even strong. Being resilient isn't about being cold. It's not about ignoring pain. It's not about smiling all the time and pretending everything's fine. Resilience is something else. It's the silent power of continuing, even when everything in you wants to stop. It's that invisible strength that picks you up after every fall, even when no one is watching. But what few people understand is that resilience isn't blind resistance. Resilient people don't endure everything without feeling. They feel deeply, but they don't let it paralyze them. Psychology defines resilience as the ability to adapt positively in the face of adversity, trauma, or stress. But in practice, it shows up in the small choices. It's getting out of bed even without the will. It's taking a deep breath before reacting. It's continuing to try, even without certainty. Neuroscientist Richard Davidson says that resilience is linked to how quickly our brains recover from negative experiences. In other words, it's not about not suffering, it's about consciously recovering. And this ability can be trained. Neuroplasticity, the brain's incredible ability to reorganize itself, shows that the more we practice resilient behaviors, the stronger our minds become. Like a muscle that gets stronger with use. So it's not a matter of having or not having resilience. It's about building this skill every single day, intentionally, consciously, practically. And if you still doubt it's possible, just look at stories of overcoming. People who lost everything, faced impossible diagnoses, went through deep pain, and still rose again. Not because they were superhuman, but because they chose not to give up. And that choice stands before you too. Now that you understand what true resilience is, it's time to discover how it begins to grow. And it all starts in a simple yet powerful place. The way you talk to yourself. Everything starts in the mind. Before any action, there's a conversation. Silent, constant, often unconscious. It's the voice that says, you're not going to make it, or you're going to try anyway. It's that inner dialogue that shapes how you face the world. Resilient people don't have a quiet mind. They've simply learned to govern their own narrative. They don't let their thoughts take over. They question them, observe them, train them. You know that moment when something goes wrong and the first thing you think is, I'm a failure? That's an automatic thought, and it happens to everyone. The difference is what you do next. Emotionally strong people have learned to respond to those thoughts instead of simply accepting them. A powerful technique used in cognitive psychology is called cognitive restructuring. It works like this. When a negative thought arises, stop and ask, is this true, or is it just a temporary interpretation? Then reframe it. Instead of saying, "I never get it right," say, "That was a mistake, but I can learn from it." Another valuable habit is writing. Putting your thoughts on paper breaks the automatic narrative and forces you to see clearly what's going on inside. Written inner dialogue becomes visible, and what is visible can be transformed. Also, self-compassion is an essential ally. Being firm with yourself doesn't mean being cruel. The most resilient people know how to encourage themselves when they're down. They don't say, "You're weak." They say, "That was hard, but I'm here with you. Get up." You can't control everything you think, but you can control what you feed. And strengthening your mind starts by choosing wisely which voices you allow to echo inside you. Now that you understand the power of your inner dialogue, it's time to strengthen the foundation of it all, your morning routine, because it's in the beginning of the day that the mind absorbs the most. And that's when strong people plant the first steps of emotional stability. The way you start your day sets the tone for everything that follows. Resilient people know this, and that's why they protect their mornings like a sacred ritual. It's not about waking up at 5 a.m. or following a perfect routine. It's about creating a space every day to align your body, mind, and spirit before facing the world. They know that if they start the day on autopilot, checking notifications, rushing out the door, or getting sucked into worries, mental chaos will arrive too early. But when you begin the day with presence, with intention, something changes. You stop just reacting to what happens and start acting with clarity. There's no single formula. Some people write for 5 minutes, unloading everything they feel. Others meditate, say silent prayers, read something inspiring, stretch their body, or walk quietly. The point isn't what you do, it's that you do something that centers your mind and directs your energy. There's a simple phrase that strong people say upon waking: "Today, I choose how I will respond to what comes." It's a powerful reminder that you still have control, even when everything feels out of place. Studies show that in the first minutes after waking, the brain is more malleable and suggestible. That means what you consume or think in the morning defines the quality of your attention and emotions for the rest of the day. Emotionally strong people avoid starting the day with negative news, social media, or stressful conversations. They choose to feed on what nourishes, not what drains. And it's not about perfection, it's about consistency with kindness. Even on hard days, they do the basics: take a deep breath, stretch, express gratitude, sip coffee in silence, and move forward. Because they know the world will try to run over them, but they've already chosen the rhythm from within. And when you start well, you're more likely to stay strong. Now let's move to an even more transformative habit: the power of saying no. Strong people aren't the ones who say yes to everything. In fact, true strength lies in knowing how to say no. Saying no is an act of protection. It's a boundary that preserves your energy, your focus, your emotional health. But how many times have you said yes just to avoid disappointing someone? How many times have you denied yourself, overwhelmed yourself, felt guilty, just out of fear of seeming selfish? The truth is, you weren't created to carry everything. And resilient people know this. They don't try to save the world at the expense of their own peace. They've learned that every unconscious yes is a silent no to themselves. This habit starts with a simple internal shift, giving yourself permission to come first. It's not selfishness, it's emotional wisdom. They look at their own schedules with honesty and ask, does this bring me closer to the life I want to build, or take me away from it? And if the answer is, it takes me away, they decline, respectfully but firmly. There's a simple technique called the conscious pause. And before responding to any request, take a breath and say, can I get back to you on that? This brief pause prevents automatic responses driven by guilt or anxiety. It gives you time to feel, to weigh, to choose. Strong people also know that not everything needs an explanation. They don't over-justify themselves or try to convince anyone. They simply say, "Thank you for the invitation, but I won't be able to this time." Simple, clear, honest. And the more you practice this, the more your mind understands. You don't have to exhaust yourself to be accepted. You can love and still have limits. You can help and still protect yourself. You can be generous without abandoning yourself. Saying no doesn't drive away the right people. In fact, it brings them closer, because those who respect your no truly value your yes. And then when you learn to protect your inner space, something powerful happens. You gain more strength to face what no one can avoid: pain. Pain is not a sign of weakness. It's a sign that you're alive, sensitive, and in the process of growing. Emotionally strong people don't run from pain. They face it, not with coldness but with purpose, while many try to numb suffering with distractions, destructive habits, or denial. Resilient people do it differently. They pause, they feel, they listen, and they ask, "What is this pain trying to teach me?" They know that avoiding pain only prolongs it, but facing it head-on transforms it, and that's where the difference lies. There's a powerful spiritual and psychological key here. Accepting is not the same as resigning. Accepting means recognizing that suffering is part of the journey, and that it can be used to refine who you are. Resilience is born from this place, not from the absence of pain, but from the willingness to learn from it. Viktor Frankl, psychiatrist and Holocaust survivor, wrote, "If there is meaning in suffering, then it can be endured. And more than that, it can be turned into strength." Strong people don't ask, "Why is this happening to me?" They ask, "How can I grow from this?" It's a subtle shift, but it completely changes the path. They use pain as a mirror, as a tool, as living proof that they're becoming more resilient, more compassionate, more self-aware. And you know what else? They're not in a hurry. They respect the timing of pain, but don't make it their identity. They know it came to shape them, not to define them. And after every dark night, they come out stronger. Not because the pain disappeared, but because now they know who they are, even in the midst of it. And when pain becomes a teacher, silence becomes sacred. And that's exactly what they learn to cultivate: the habit of stillness. In a noisy world, choosing silence is an act of courage and of wisdom. Resilient people understand that silence is not the absence of sound, it's the presence of awareness. While many rush to distract themselves, they stop to listen to themselves. They've discovered that silence is a place where answers arrive, where emotions settle, and where the mind can finally breathe. Science confirms it. Moments of silence activate areas of the brain linked to creativity, memory, and self-control. But more than that, silence reconnects us with something greater. With intuition, with God, with the kind of peace that doesn't depend on circumstances. Emotionally strong people don't always feel the need to explain, react, or voice their opinions. They know there is power in what remains unsaid. That some battles are won internally, long before they appear on the outside. Silence protects them from impulsive reactions, from rushed decisions, from words that can't be taken back. They use silence strategically. Before responding to an attack, they breathe. Before making a hard decision, they retreat. Before entering conflict, they pray, meditate, or simply clothe themselves in silence. It is in silence that they hear the deepest layers of themselves, the hidden emotions, the fears that were buried, the real desires, and in that place of stillness they make peace with their own soul. There, they grow stronger. You don't need much time. 2 minutes of silence, eyes closed, deep breathing, are already enough to slow down the mind and realign the heart. And you know what happens when you include silence in your routine? You start responding to life instead of just reacting to it. And that changes everything. But the body also speaks, and resilient people know if you don't care for the body, it will eventually scream. That's why the next habit is just as essential as all the others, treating the body like a temple. The mind can be strong, but if the body is exhausted, resilience breaks down. Emotionally strong people have understood a simple truth: the body and the mind are not separate. They are in constant conversation. They don't wait for the body to collapse to begin caring for it. They treat their body with respect, as a temple that houses everything they are. This doesn't mean a perfect workout routine or a flawless diet. It means listening and being intentional. It means honoring the signals. When the body asks for rest, they rest. When it asks for movement, they move. When it asks for lightness, they avoid excess. Simple habits are part of these people's daily lives. They get enough sleep. They drink water. They eat more mindfully. They take 5 minutes to stretch. They turn off their phone before bed. All of this seems small until it becomes emotional stability, because a regulated body calms the mind, and a clear mind strengthens the soul. Science shows that sleep deprivation, for example, raises cortisol levels, the stress hormone. Food either inflames or balances the body. Sedentary behavior weakens not just the muscles, but also motivation and mental clarity. Resilient people don't ignore this. They know they can't keep a firm mind in a neglected body. They understand that self-care is not a luxury, it's emotional structure. And more than that, caring for the body is a spiritual act. It's recognizing that there's something sacred within you, and that it deserves attention, care, presence. So yes, they walk, breathe deeply, eat with more awareness, sleep better, not out of vanity, but because they want to be fully present for life. Because they've realized that the body also sustains the soul, and when the body is strengthened, the mind gains more clarity, more focus, more space to choose what truly matters. And that's exactly what leads us to the final habit. Because in the end, what makes someone truly resilient is the ability to choose meaning behind everything they go through. Life doesn't always make sense. Sometimes it hurts for no reason. Sometimes it wounds without explanation. But resilient people carry a secret. They don't wait for life to make sense. They choose the meaning. They understand that power isn't in what happens. It's in what they do with what happens. Even in the face of loss, injustice, pain, or emptiness, they pause and ask, what can I learn from this? How can I transform after this? That's when everything changes. Viktor Frankl, a psychiatrist who survived the horrors of Auschwitz, wrote, "He who has a why to live can bear almost any how." And these people live this way, with a why, even in the storms. They look at difficult moments and choose to see an invitation to transformation. They don't deny reality, but they refuse to live as eternal victims of it. Finding meaning is a choice. It's a way of taking ownership of your own story. It's saying, I wouldn't have chosen this, but since it happened, I choose to grow from here. Sometimes meaning comes quickly. Sometimes it takes years, but the resilient heart knows how to wait, knows how to trust, knows that every chapter, no matter how confusing it seems now, may one day be part of something greater. And when everything seems illogical, they trust in something beyond reason. They trust that God, life, the universe are writing something bigger than what can be seen now. And that faith sustains them. Choosing meaning is what turns wounds into marks of wisdom. It's what separates those who merely survive from those who reinvent themselves. This is the last habit, but also the deepest. Because when you choose meaning, you take back control of your story and find purpose even in pain. Now that you've discovered the 7 habits of emotionally strong people, it's time to do something with this knowledge. It's time to move. Let's go to the conclusion. You made it this far. And that alone already says a lot about you. Maybe you still don't feel strong enough. Maybe you've had days where getting out of bed was already a battle. But the truth is, your strength doesn't depend on how you feel. It depends on the choices you start making now. Today, you discovered 7 habits. Not magical, not miraculous, but real, practical, daily. Resilient people don't have perfect lives. They've simply chosen to cultivate strength even in imperfection. They regulate their inner dialogue. They protect their mornings. They say no when needed. They accept pain as part of the journey. They seek silence to find clarity. They care for their body with presence. And above all, they choose to give meaning to their path. Resilience isn't a gift reserved for a few. It's a path available to anyone who chooses to take one step at a time with intention. And you can begin this path today. Start small, but start. Pick one of these habits to practice tomorrow. And watch how your mind, your energy, and your soul begin to shift. And if this message resonated with you, go ahead and like the video. Subscribe to the Inner Light, Infinite Wisdom channel and hit the bell so you won't miss any new messages that strengthen your soul and expand your awareness. Share this video with someone you care about and leave a comment below. Which habit are you going to start practicing today? Your comment might inspire someone else too. This channel exists to remind you that you are not alone and that there is light even on the darkest days. Inner Light, Infinite Wisdom is your space for reflection, faith, and inner strength. We'll see you in the next video. Until then, keep your vibration high and your mind connected to the divine.